here. Just wanted to ensure that all the folks who needed the link had the link. And that we are all set to go. Good evening, everyone. It's already 16 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you so much for your patience as we get ready to prepare for the program. Normally it takes us a few minutes to settle in and get things going after the previous show. It is so good to be back for our second show since we resumed. Always a pleasure to be here to bring you the stories of our people, our communities, and all the good stuff. Wherever you are this evening, we thank you for tuning in whatever part of the world that you are, we are happy to have you. Just backtracking a bit to last week Monday when we had our guest Mervyn Delsol in the spotlight. And Mervyn, as you would have heard the story last week, went through the phases of addiction, mental illness, and is safely today in recovery. He's still in recovery, but he's come a long way. It's been about 2 years now, thereabouts. And again, just highlighting the folks of Echo 78 for linking with me for that particular program. It was great, sir. I want to say thank you to Ibrahim Brohim, and as I mentioned on my Facebook status, Brohim would have preferred that this not be mentioned, but I must say that Ibrahim Brohim is one of the businessmen in Dominica, with a small business, you could say, but this man supports his community, he supports his people. And the next day after the show, on Tuesday, he showed up at my place of work and gave me an envelope, and he said, you know, this is for Mervyn, and it was an envelope with $500 in there. And he asked me not to mention it, and I guess that is the type of person that he is. But I begged him, please allow me to mention it. And I said to him, for two reasons I wanted to do that. One, because, you know, he has to get some level of recognition for the work that he continues to do in our communities. And, you know, the way he gives back, he really does give back a lot. And he reluctantly told me, go ahead. I told him I'll find a way to do it. But hey, brave, sorry. I really did have to mention this. So he gave me that money, and I handed Mervyn's money to him. And the second reason I wanted to say to you guys why I wanted to mention it is because, you know, very often you hear about situations where people donate funds to people, they never see it. For my own namesake and good name and transparency, you know, I feel obliged to mention some of these things because you want people to know that you got this and you gave it to who it was supposed to go to. Another fan of the show, gentleman named David Joseph, is somebody who likes to keep it on the down low as well. But he also sent him 500 EC dollars that I have not yet gotten a chance to get. From the what they call them? Yes, from WU. I've not yet gotten a chance to go to get it as yet, but I will hopefully this week, God willing. So thank you to these two gentlemen for contributing together $1,000 towards Mervyn. And Mervyn has gotten the first one, and he will be getting the other one sometime during the course of the week. There are a couple of other persons who have offered to contribute, and if they do come through, I can guarantee you that Mervyn will get his money. But it was a good show. We got really good feedback. He also got really good feedback. What I want us to remember is that Mervyn is still in recovery, And one thing that he mentioned last week is that he likes love. He loves love. He loves to feel love. He loves to be loved. So, you know, if you see Mervyn, you want to give him a hug, give him a hug. I'm sure he would appreciate that. So that was our show last week. But here tonight, you know, we have such good variety on in this one radio show. Last week we were on one topic. This week we're on another topic. And tonight's topic is on the issue of virtual learning, the virtual classroom. And I have two ladies with me in the studios. They're so beautiful. But before I get to them, let me welcome everyone again to the program tonight. Let me remind you of my social media platforms that I would like you to support. It does not take money to support this. All it takes is an action. And the actions I'm asking you to do tonight is just to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can look for it. It's Ferdina F. Frampton. Look for it and just subscribe. That's all I'm asking of you. We have our In the Spotlight Radio Show page. Follow it, like it. We have a group by In the Spotlight Radio Show. It's actually our fans page. So you can go there and become a fan as well. You can follow me, Ferdina Frampton. I also have a public page, which is Ferdina Frampton. Yes, it's a lot going on social media. And we also have Instagram. Our handle is Ferdina Frampton. You know, just link us up on Instagram as well. Our show is a show that requires support, you know, sometimes. So if you can support the show, we will welcome it. Actually, just tonight, we're trying to get a taxi for our guests afterwards to go to Grand Bay, and the show will be paying for that because of the people like you who support the show in whatever way. So our cash app is $Spotlighters. That's SPOTLIGHTERS. That's Spotlighters. Our mobile banking is username 767-235-7565. The account number is 100069592. We will acknowledge Q95 for allowing us to be here every Monday night. We thank Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited for providing us with our Barefoot wine. They are the agents, and also for our Topita water. We thank them for that as well. We want to say thank you to Jordan Jerome, GK767. He does the show What's This? He actually has something happening almost every day. So give him some support. Go to his YouTube channel, subscribe and support him as well. And my dear Akim Lowe, who does my flyers, Akim, thank you so much. And the fans, the listeners, everywhere you are, everywhere, anywhere you are tonight, we thank you for supporting us. We're coming right back to get going with tonight's show. It's all about the virtual classroom or virtual learning.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio, every night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining. A must listen to. In the Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q95.
25 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour, and we are all set to go. Ladies, are we ready?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Just make sure we have the proper mics on. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Finance.
All right. So I'm just wanting to be sure which mic is which, but we'll get it sorted out. Okay. Welcome again, everyone, to tonight's program. And tonight we're going to have a wonderful night because we're talking about education, more so now the virtual classroom. We've been forced into this situation due to COVID-19. We cannot get away from it. We have to
Grapple.
Yes. That's correct.
We have to grapple. We have to adjust.
I need you to get your mic just a little closer to you for me. Yes, and let us get things going. Make sure yours is as well. Yes. Okay, so this evening on the program, we're happy to have two educators on the program with us. Let us say welcome first to Julienne Martin. Julienne is the Deputy Principal at the Goodwill Primary School. Julie, can I call you Julie?
Sure.
All right. Yes, Julie. Good evening to you. Say good evening to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Good night. So I am Julienne Martin, and as Ms. Frampton said, I work at the Goodwill Primary as one of our deputies, because you are aware that we have two shifts. Well, because of COVID now, we kind of, like me said, grappling, but normally we have two shifts, and so therefore our school population is large. There's need for two of us.
There's need for two of you.
Yes.
All right. Tell me about the Goodwill Primary School.
Like I said, it's one, well, basically it is the largest primary, government primary for now. We have students who come from different catchment areas, Bongole, Goodwill, Stock Farm, Gotha, and it can also go as far as in the countryside. So we have a diverse group of students, of course, with all their energies, and we have a staff who, we try our best to do what we have to so that our students learn. Yes. It can be challenging, of course, because when you teach in certain catchment areas, some of the issues that come up at school would be basically like an extension of where the children come from. So we do have a lot of, social issues, if I can put it that way, with our students in terms of their general behavior and even to an extent their learning. Yes.
We have as well with us this evening Frances Beverly Moses, and she is a teacher at the Pierre Charles Secondary School, of course a school named after a former Prime Minister from within the community. Good evening and welcome again, Frances.
Good evening, Ferdina, Miss Frampton, and good evening
You can call me Ferdina.
I can call you Ferdina?
Yes.
That's nice. Formality.
Those teachers, everything for them is miss this and miss this and miss this. Go ahead, Frances.
Hi again. Okay, so good evening to Ferdina. Good evening to my colleague, Miss Martin, and I really want to say thank you for having me on the program this evening. It was an invitation from Miss Martin that I embraced wholeheartedly, and I really want to say good evening to all our listeners.
And it is our pleasure to have the both of you ladies. Although I said your school was named after a former Prime Minister and the son of the soil, but you need to tell us a bit about Pierre Charles Secondary.
Okay, so as you rightly said, named after former Prime Minister Pierre Charles. We are situated in Geneva Estate, Grand Bay. Currently, we have just over 45 staff members. We also, our catchment area stretches from Bellevue. We have paid 7 students. We have students from Bagatelle, Grand Bay proper. We have Font Saint-Jean as well. And we also have a few students from outside of the catchment area, students who have transferred as well. And we also have non-nationals as well.
Okay. All right, ladies. we're going to be getting into our topic in just a while, but I do want to know a bit more about you and, your teaching career. Why did you go into teaching, and who's going to take it first? Julie, let's go.
All right, putting you on this spot.
Yes, let's talk about you first, Julie. Tell us a bit about you, where you're from and so on.
Okay, so I think which is, I guess, typical of most Dominicans, you raised in a certain village and you probably moved somewhere else. So I've had that. At present, I am in Julienne. I live in Julienne. I don't know if I should say that on here, but
That's okay. We're going to come look for you.
Yeah, and I have been teaching for probably almost 20 years, if not 20.
Wow.
Yes, so I have learned, just as the children have learned from me, I have learned from them. Of course, there are highs and lows. There are days when I feel like, what did I get myself into? But there are days when the rewards, far exceed the little challenges. And I think sometimes when you meet your past students and they, really come back and say to you, Miss, this, that, and the other, and sometimes you do things and you don't even take note of it, or not that you think in the future this child will grow up and come back and thank you and say, these things that you did for me, they meant so much, and because of them, so on and so forth. So I have had that experience. I have had a few of them, and teaching, people say teaching is a vocation. It can be, but it requires so much from you. It's just not getting into school and you leave school and that's it. You are always consumed with teaching. You're always consumed with your students because you're interacting with children, and these are lives. So whatever it is, in your day, even when you put your head down on your bed, students will come to your mind, their issues, and trying to see how best you can help. So
you're at a school with young children.
yes,
It's a primary school.
it is.
Did you choose to teach primary school, or did you just land there?
I had the option of going into high school, but I did it and I did not enjoy it as I did working with the little ones.
Really?
Yes. And I have colleagues in high school and they will tell me, oh, I don't know how you can do that. Can I teach little ones? And then I'll tell them, boy, I don't know about the high school because I prefer work with little ones. So I guess everybody has, their own preferences, and I think I work well as with the little ones. I really do. And the important thing is they like me. So.
Yeah. I like that. On the opposite end, Frances, you're actually at a secondary school. Tell me a bit more about how you got into secondary school, and is that your choice as well? And then you, of course, will tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. So I've been teaching since 2005. I studied originally at Portsmouth Secondary School.
Oh.
Yes, I taught at Portsmouth Secondary School for 6 years. Although I'm from Granby, my both parents were from Davis's, so I can identify with Miss Martin as she speaks of moving from one village. But all my life, if you want to put it that way, I know I've been living in Granby. My father was a teacher, and he taught also. Just before his passing, he was a teacher at Pierre Charles Secondary School. I love to motivate, I love to encourage, I love to listen, and I think these will push factors for me to where I am presently. I wanted to teach at a younger age, but unfortunately some things did not work out. But nonetheless, at present, I teach Spanish, HFLE, and Caribbean history. I love interacting with the adolescents. I love impacting knowledge. As Ms. Martin indicated, there are challenges, not only in the classroom, sometimes outside of the classroom. I love when you are in the public, that someone would say, Miss Moses, I love it, I love it, I love it. Yes, I love it. And it brings joy, it gives you that sense of accomplishment, and it kind of push away everything negative, if you want to put it that way. When you see a child that you, not every time you remember their name, or you may see the face and you say, well, Miss, you can't remember. But nonetheless, it brings some sense of satisfaction to know that you impacted or you left a print. They may not come back immediately, but years down the line, you walk down the streets of Roseau, in your own community, or even you're at school, and they come back to express gratitude to you. It gives some sense of accomplishment.
Now,
I love that.
I have a couple of follow-ups for you. First of all, you teach Spanish. How fluent are you in Spanish? Okay, something, lady.
What do you want to know, lady? Fluent enough that I can handle a conversation.
Tell me you're a beautiful lady.
Soy una mujer muy bonita.
And then you also spoke about HFLE. During the days I went to school, there was nothing like HFLE. So no.
Family life. I remember
family life education.
Family life education.
At grammar school?
Well, maybe. I left West High School in 1997, and I recall having a few sessions with. She was a Jamaican.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she's deceased now, but it was family life education.
I know we had a guidance counselor, but I don't recall having that particular subject. And what do you teach?
We have different skills. So we do interpersonal relationships. We look about sexuality. All of these. We look about relationships as well. We do health. We discuss health issues. We discuss the environment, we discuss fitness as well. So it depends on the level. It will be a little higher as we go along.
I see.
Okay. So for example, the first formers coming in, we would want to encourage them as much as possible, so you motivate them. So you will have topics, puberty, you cannot escape it. We cannot escape self-esteem, confidence. Third formers will touch on career. We'll talk on work and career, even for the fifth formers as well. As it relates to health, we look about healthy eating, our eating habits, our non-communicable diseases. We do not do everything as educators. What we do sometimes, it depends on the topic in question, that we would invite a resource person to come in who is more
versed.
Yes, in that, and speak to the students as well.
Sounds quite exciting. I would like any one of you all to be my teacher.
We do it in primary school as well.
But really?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, of course.
So you do some of that?
Yes, we do. Of course, the curriculum lends itself to the primary section as well. It's really a spiral curriculum. So the topics that Miss mentioned.
What does that mean, Miss Julie?
A spiral.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts with the children at their age and their level. So you wouldn't teach above the cognitive level, right? So Miss will speak about in third form where she does career. We will do something like that at primary school. However, almost when the children are in grade 6, we will focus on it a little more. It will come up during, the grades in primary school, but not the emphasis as a third former who is about to, choose their subjects and get ready for CXC. HFLE, in my opinion, is one of the crucial subject areas that must be taught at any education institution, because as Miss told you, HFLE encompasses the child. So apart from you come to a mathematics classroom per se, your teacher will focus on your mathematical concepts. If this child did not have breakfast, the child has some issue at home, the child is probably facing some sort of bullying, peer pressure, whatever it is, in the HFLE classroom, the HFLE teacher would hopefully see that and cater for, addressing the children's needs. It basically views the child as a holistic person, and the premise is that the child will not be able to learn anything much if the child is emotionally unstable, if you get what I'm saying. So of course the mental security and your mental health is paramount if you are going to take in any sort of instruction. So
I like that subject. I think it's, as you said, it's an important and crucial subject.
Even like, I mean, I don't want to really
No,
stray,
let's talk. We're not straying.
After Maria and we had this widespread looting, I thought, oh my goodness, is this a lack in our HFLE lessons that we do not teach, patriotism to that level where we tell the children about the ills of looting. I mean, at the time, your country's been, on all its bottoms, if I can put it that way, and then you continue to destroy it by that human action. I'm wondering if, in our course of instruction, that we discuss that so that the children realize that this also is a crime, if I can put it that way. I mean, everybody enjoy their loots, but at the end of the day, we remember when after Maria, everybody was saying, oh, this place wasn't closed, wasn't damaged, but it was closed and people broken open and all that. So it was really glaring to me that did we fail in our HFLE lessons where we did not touch those areas.
Well, if you thought you failed, I hope it was a lesson and something to build upon going forward in terms of adding those kinds of things too.
I remember too, sometime after the Prime Minister was talking about patriotism and teaching civic responsibility and stuff like that, and I said, oh, at least he got that, because it really, it was so glaring, because it's like adding insult to injury when we destroyed our country further. It's like nature did her bit and then we did our bit with our hands.
And while we're sort of in discussion here, Julie, the word patriotism just came, through as part of what you were speaking to. And we are also in the season of Creole and independence. I want to ask you ladies, this is something that I saw, I can't remember whether I saw it, but it's something that has been in the air, in discussion. The Creole language as a subject in schools. Yes. Where do you think we need to go with that? Are you aware if it's something that's being considered? Where are we with introducing what we call our lang mamanu in the school system as part of the school curriculum? Yes.
You would like to speak to that first?
Yeah, our school is a pilot school for that.
Okay, so there's a pilot program
going on.
Okay. Yes. Our school is. However, of course, COVID came and put a full stop on that for now. So, yes. But I do believe that, like you said, we should do this because, after all, we say Lang Mamanu. And not only that, though, because we have a strong Haitian community here, sometimes, like we said, you have Haitian nationals coming to register the children and they cannot speak a word of English, and you have to have a conversation with them, and here comes our Lang Mama. So yeah, it is important, and apart from just the fact that we need to communicate, but I see it as a means of keeping our culture alive, because a lot of students cannot manage themselves in patois, and even now, because we talk about the global village, you never know where you can end up, and it does help you with your French as well. So you have a strong Creole or Malang Mamanu background. It will help you to démêler yourself if you land in a French territory. So for these reasons, one, it's our tradition, yes, it's part of our culture, and of course it kind of beefs up the child in terms of being able to speak a foreign language. It's considered a foreign language. And yeah, you can move along. Now, if you have a job, for example, I heard DBS some time ago advertising for a reporter, and they were saying that they needed the person to be fluent in Lang Mamanu. So so you see,
yes, yeah. It's important, and I do hope that the pilot programs are successful, and that this could be rolled out throughout the school system in Dominica, and that our children can learn to speak the Creole language. I'm not as fluent as I would like to be. Me bon assez.
Hopefully it develops a love for culture with our students.
Yes.
Yes.
All
Because it's unique. Yeah.
Yes, ladies, I think we've laid a beautiful foundation for our discussion here tonight. And we did invite, everyone to tune in, parents, guardians, teachers, students. And I do hope that they're tuned in and locked in, whether it be via Q95 or whether it be on one of our Facebook Lives here. And we're excited and we're ready to go. I mean, it's not a place where we would want to be because of the many challenges that comes with the virtual classroom at this time. How did we get there? Let's remind the listeners how we got there. In one word. Well, we know COVID. But I know this is probably the second time that we're doing homeschooling since the pandemic. So let's talk about the inception of this.
Okay, so last year in March, I think it was, we recorded the first COVID case, and it increased from there, and Prime Minister shut down schools, but we had to, I put it this way, it was disrupted classrooms but uninterrupted learning, right? So although we are not in the class, but we cannot stop our teaching learning. Of course, it took us by surprise. I guess we were a little bit complacent in Dominica because, we
were doing so well.
I know, right?
We were doing well.
Yes. So, and I suppose, at the back of my mind, I thought probably it would get to that. But I didn't expect the, I guess, the length that we stayed. And up to a time like now, we're still battling the online classroom.
Battle for truth.
Yes. So, being in a classroom is so different than having to be online, and for so many reasons. Predominantly our classrooms are four walls, and our students, let's face it, we are in a developing country, right? So our students are still using pen and paper, and although we have ICT in schools, we have it in primary and high school, of course, right? But it's not the primary mode of instruction. So therefore, it's the subject by itself, and the children have to get used to the computer, used to the keyboard and all of that. And so we were doing that, but it was not our main form of instruction. So once we have to go online, then you find the children have to, try to look for keys and try to navigate themselves online. And of course, don't talk about the parents.
Yes.
Our beloved parents.
Yes.
They were not taken lightly to that. But, we have to do what we must because of the nature of COVID. We cannot have regular school. So classrooms were disrupted, but like I said, our learning cannot be disrupted. Yes, uninterrupted learning must go on.
It has to go on. So explain to us what e-learning is.
Okay, so that's where I have some notes and I'm going to right. So e-learning can also be called blended learning, hybrid learning, or even flexible learning. If you do a little online search. The 2019 Curriculum Resource Development Strategy aims at fostering education quality in Caribbean, and it hopes to do so by establishing regional standards for educational practices. The document focuses on unlocking Caribbean human potential, and I'm laying the foundation there because I know parents and even teachers are quarreling about the online. So I'm telling you that the UNESCO statistics says that there are, in 23 countries of the Caribbean, there are 7 million learners right now who are out of the classroom, and 91,000 teachers.
Wow, that's
a lot.
That is phenomenal, right?
Yes.
So 7 million learners out of the classroom, 91,000 teachers, 23 Caribbean countries. So if we do not go online, then 7 million of our nationals, Caribbean nationals, will not continue their education. And again, if we put it in perspective, we're looking at the global environment.
Right.
We cannot afford our citizens do not continue school because of the pandemic. And for example, if the pandemic has to last for 5 years, what's going to happen? See, like we said a little while ago, the pandemic caused us to shut down since last year, and here we are again having to go online. So, as I said, when we look at the statistics and in light of the Caribbean Resource Development Strategy, it talks about online learning. Yes? So, I shall continue.
Yes, please proceed.
So Dominica, like I said, we can't be left behind, and our ministry's own mission is to educate and prepare all students to live productive lives in a complex and changing society. Are we complex?
Yes.
COVID made us complex, and it's definitely changing, right? It further states, if you look at the MOE vision, it states that each child must succeed. Each child must succeed. Yes. Each child succeeds, right? So we are already telling ourselves that every child in Dominica must succeed or has to succeed. This is the vision.
That's the vision.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the vision recognizes that every child can learn and has a right to basic education. One of the MOE's strategies to do so involves the use of ICT as a tool in enhancing management of schools and the teaching learning process. So I know, like last year, I'll go back to that. Remember, a lot of parents were calling the radio and saying, oh, school has to open and this and that and that. But apart from, yes, I agree, school has to open, because I think if we take a survey, maybe more teachers prefer to be in the classroom than online.
And I think most of the majority of the children as well.
Well, yes, like, because that's what they know, right?
That's what they're accustomed to.
Yes. So, like I said, e-learning can also be called flexible learning. And part of being a flexible learner means that the student has to have attributes that cause them to kind of own their learning, if I can put that. It involves having the children to be self-dependent, self-determined, self-motivated, and to take responsibility for their own learning. It involves skills like self-monitoring. They have to, be able to set their goals and make adjustments and sound decision-making on the online environment, right?
Because these are not normal. This is
not normal.
It's not normal,
right?
It's not normal.
So the children need to have a mindset that I'm 13, I'm 14, I'm 15, I have to do online schooling. Mommy doesn't have anywhere to put me. Mommy has to go to work. I have to be responsible to be able to go on, put on my computer or my tablet, whatever the case is, follow my classes, and be committed to the process until the end at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever the case might be. And even later on in the day, in terms of, continuing, because then you have homework, you have to revise, you have to be ready for the next day. And you have to go to bed at a reasonable time because you have to be alert. You're not sitting in your classroom where the teacher is there to nudge you or your friend is there to trouble you. It takes a lot of commitment and responsibility from the student.
So you can imagine, if you're a parent, just what you described there, it's for a child to really succeed at this, you're looking at a child who's absolutely disciplined, right? Because the reality is our parents have to go to work or they cannot sit down, 24/7 and babysit their child online. So there are so many issues with that. Their mindset really has to almost adopt, I can do this and it is possible and this is learning and this is also serious. Yeah. So of course online teaching is different from face-to-face instruction. Yes. Yes.
So in a nutshell, that is what online or e-learning is. And then you made reference, of course, to UNESCO and all of that. I thought that context was important because this is no joke.
We have 6,000 students in Dominica.
6,000,
yes. 56 primary and I think
That's about 15 high school, secondary school.
So total about 6,000 children at any one time out of school. So,
the learning process cannot be interrupted.
Definitely.
It cannot be interrupted.
And so because all of these students are online, we definitely have to have some sort of structure, some sort of measures to allow them to, to learn.
To be, and also be successful at that as well.
How will be the first time around?
First time, I think many of us were unprepared.
Many of us, and you mean the teachers?
I mean teachers, I'm referring to the teachers, the
administrators as well?
Administrators, maybe some, because what may have happened, there may have been dialogue as to the extent of it. I'm not at liberty to speak to that.
Right.
But I think that we were unprepared. Yes, we have, as Miss indicated, that we have ICT programs at the secondary schools, but as to the content, that's not my area, that's not my field, so I cannot really speak to that. But in terms of navigating in preparation for online learning, it's a lot, because it's not just having a laptop or a smart device. You turn it on and then you see your teacher appear on the screen. There's a program, there's a software that comes from the Ministry of Education that has to be installed on your device, and every class has a code. So with that, if you don't have the code, you don't have access to this to the subject area. And when you get on there, then the teacher will upload material, or we have different softwares as well, different apps there. You can, even as we are speaking, we can see each other. So it's not a matter of I am staying at home, yes, I have the students online, and I just upload material and I'm sitting back. No, we meet when time for Spanish at 9:40. I have Google Meet. I can choose Google Meet or I can choose Zoom.
All right.
Then we can do that. In terms of some parents, I know they will still, maybe some parents will still trying to adjust with everything that Maria brought to Dominica. So evidently, having all the resources available, and not just the resources, but even as Miss mentioned, we talk about support as well, because many persons, even when we had the inception of it, that many parents were still unemployed post Maria. So here it is: you have 3 students at home, you are unemployed, and they all have to be online
in the virtual
classroom,
and you have 1 computer.
You may not even have one. No, that is problem. Or you may have one for true, but you have a child in kindergarten. You may have a child at the college, and here it is: you have a 3rd former. How you have to decide exactly what happens.
Who gets priority?
Who gets priority?
And
that's something that we faced last year.
And that's a reality.
It's a reality, and we have it in 2021-2022 school year.
Wow. Julie, take us through your experience of the first time around.
It's quite similar to Miss explanation, because that is the reality. A lot of our parents, many of them, have no device, no access. Of course, they're not computer literate too. They have maybe more than 2 children, and each child, again, because this is new, each child needs like a good, maybe 2 hours just to complete an assignment, because again, you have to get used to the forum and to be able to navigate yourself successfully on Google Classroom or whatever LMS, the MSL the teacher is using. So we had to kind of devise a strategy at our school where we allowed certain grades to come on different days of the week. So for example, we would have the grade 1s come in, let's say on a Monday, and we had some Chromebooks. The teachers would come, and of course we have to follow our protocols. So they would come and would do sanitization, distancing, the mask and all of that, and the teachers would, help the children online to find their work, to complete their assignments and so on. You also had students who were not able to actually come in school, so we prepared worksheets, and the parents would pick it up, bring it to their homes, help the children complete it, and bring it back. We also had the situation where no child, there are some times where in some classes, no, how should I put it? Some students just did not show up. So of course that child, it is 3 months, I think it was a whole term or something. Yes. So for the 3 months, they never got any sort of learning, any sort of instruction, because the parent either could not come or could not send them, or they had no device, nothing at all. So that was a gap right there in that child's learning. Mm-hmm. So what they were supposed to have in that term, of course, because they were no-show, they did not get any sort of instruction. And of course, we know it will affect their performance. So,
mm-hmm. So this happened the first time around. Mm-hmm. What different are you seeing the second time around?
Well, for us at Pierre Charles Secondary School, up to this afternoon, I was in communication with our PS, Mrs. Hyacinth, and from my point, I think that we are doing a little better.
Okay.
Some students from our school were in receipt of laptops earlier in the year, so I think that aided.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, really indeed. Some also we have seen in terms of the students coming online, joining the classes. We had a big issue that last school year, where students were receiving they had their emails, they were given the codes, they made excuses. Some could have been considered genuine. However, there were some students who just deliberately did not come online. So far, we are on week 5 with our fifth formers, and I can compliment the students who are listening, our teachers as well, for the efforts, because we are seeing the students are enthusiastic, the students are coming online, the students, we have group chats, the students are communicating with you, because even when you have this platform and you schedule, say for example, an assignment, you have the opportunity to give a deadline for submission. So if there's any hiccup or any reason why he or she is unable to do so, they would inform or they will relay that information to you. We have the younger ones who started just last week, Monday. Unfortunately, we had some interruptions in our connection last week, but so far for the week, I can say it's better. We are seeing students are coming on, they're using the different devices, they are showing up for our assembly, they are attending their classes. There were one or two, what would I say, just a few interruptions, because delays, if you want to put it that way, but these have resolved and we are well on our way.
This is good to hear.
Yes.
This is good to hear.
Similarly with us, at our school, our statistics this year is so much better, because like I said to you, the first time around we had so many children who missed their learning, but this time around parents really made an effort. They are really trying, coming to find out, what they can do, if they need their emails for the children so that they can, access Google Classroom. We also have some Chromebooks that we, how should I put this? We put on loan to our grade 6, because the grade 6 have to do national exams, so we cannot afford for them not to be online, to miss their work. But generally, we have so many more students online this time around, and I suppose people in their minds, they realize this is for real, so parents are putting themselves forward, whether it's a smartphone or
a tablet.
Yes, yeah. And those students who do not have access or do not have a device, we have some high school students coming as well to our school to access the internet and to use a device. I mean, they are students of Dominicans, and the ministry did say that we were to give, yes.
If you can assist.
Yes, students in the neighborhood who do not have a device or do not have internet access, they come. So because we do not have the general school population there, of course, there are empty classrooms, so we put them there and they do their work.
Do you see evidence of collaboration? So let's say Frances has a laptop and her neighbor, Julie, doesn't have any device whatsoever. Do you see situations where they come together and share?
Well, you know that we're not supposed to share device because of COVID again.
Oh Lord.
We're not supposed to.
Oh
so,
my.
So that yes.
So that is not
really
encouraged.
Yes, this is
That is
so
not encouraged.
I think what may be happening, like last school year, the first time around, I remember I did open my home to my relatives who did not have access to the internet, no device. One was at secondary school, the other one was at a primary school. And that worked well. What I think is happening now, I think that within the community, persons with no access, but they are in the same class with maybe a child of their neighbor, they would allow him or her to come. But yes, we have, as we said, we have to maintain the protocols. And also the students going to the school, the nearest school, as asked by the Ministry of Education. So yes, there's collaboration. In addition to that, not just with the students, but even with the teachers as well. Because many persons are of the opinion that every teacher owns a laptop. And that's not the situation. So we have teachers who would go to the school, and the laptops which are at the school provided by the Ministry of Education, they are in use by the teachers as well. They are in use by the teachers as well.
So it appears that we're in a better place than the first time around.
Definitely.
I'm sure there's always room for improvement.
Yes, there is.
Because as you mentioned earlier on, there will still be some students without access of a laptop or a tablet, whatever the case might be. But what I like to hear is that for those who do not, the schools open up their doors to them, of course observing the protocols, ensuring that the students are safe. So for me, it's almost a situation in some instances that those who are in areas where it is available, they should take advantage of it and to use that, because there may be students in other areas who do not have that opportunity to be able to access their classroom. So far, so good.
Yes. I think the biggest issue this year really is catering instruction online to meet the needs of the students at their age level. I think this is because, parents are recognizing that they need this device. So now, how do the children use? How do they interact with the modality? How do the teachers, cater their instruction so that yes, you see, because it's obviously a different, face-to-face is absolutely different than online. I mean, right now we are face-to-face. I can see if you frown. So a teacher would be in the classroom having a lesson, and she can read her students' body language, her facial expressions, and realize something is going up. So she'll call on a student and say, "Well, what's going on? You don't understand." Or maybe she right there will change her strategy because she realized something is off. You don't really get to do that online. You don't get to see that. Online can be either synchronous or asynchronous.
I go to UE, so I understand.
So the differences in the modalities are so different, if I can put it that way. But so it comes with its challenges, and that's where we as educators have to rise to the occasion, really. And I think teachers, from what I'm seeing so far, teachers are really outdoing themselves this year. They have, they have all, well, I cannot say mastered, but from what happened last year to now, I can say master, because they are really being creative and they are using all sorts of programs,
websites, learning sites.
I've had the experience, I have had the opportunity to experience a student in action and a teacher, a couple of teachers in action. actually just today, and I was observing, you know, that a particular teacher, she was being quite creative in that she was not being very formal in her presentation, but she was almost being on the students' level, almost speaking the way that they speak, but to get to them,
Yes.
to maintain their attention. And I remember saying, oh, I like that teacher.
And not only for them, you know, not only to get their attention, but to ensure that they're actually listening, they're grasping the concept.
All right.
It's important. It's
Yes.
important.
So you find you have to really get down to
their level.
So that is something I suspect that would have had one of the changes that took place in terms of this online and in the classroom. So the teacher can see, as you said earlier, they can see the students and so, but online, it's a different approach.
Different.
You have to take a different approach. So let's talk about some of the expectations and responsibilities of the different segments or actors in this whole online virtual classroom setting. Let's talk about the students. What do you think students are expecting from the teachers, and in turn, what are their responsibilities? Yes, what do you expect from them as teachers? What are they supposed to do?
Well, on the secondary level, evidently, one of the things that we expect them to do is to log in.
Log in.
They have to.
On time.
On time. Not just log in, but log in on time. Our school, we have, for example, we have General Assembly at 8. So the students should be on at least, according to Dr. Bless, 10 minutes before.
Okay.
So what the teacher has to do, or what the teacher does, is send the link, if it's a Zoom, to the platform, and the students will log in and get prepared for that. So the students must be prepared.
Not to interrupt you, but I suspect there is a process even before all of that starts, because I know my experience is that the students started getting emails. Student had to log into a particular platform. Student had to join classrooms, and so on. So give us a bit of that process as well. What is the process that happens before?
Okay, before that. Okay, so the Ministry of Education is the entity that prepared the email addresses, and email addresses from primary school all the way to secondary school. So the students moving from grade 6 and transitioning now to Form 1, they maintain their email addresses. So they will have to log in on Google Classroom and then access the class codes and the classes, as I said to you, using different codes. So there's a code for English, there's a code for literature, and so on. So once that is done, the teacher would know, even beforehand, the different students that should be in his or her classroom. So having done this is all well and good. So I know for a fact that some emails will deactivated for whatever reason as it relates to technology, but now everything is up and running. That's not to normal. So having done this,
so teacher also has to introduce him or herself to the student via email.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. What happens, as I said last school year, we had many students not logging in. They were given the class codes, they were given their emails, they were given their passwords, but they refused. But you as the teacher, you would also have access to their email addresses. So you would invite them.
I see.
That's another way to join into the classroom. So an invitation could have been sent via email as well. The students access their email, their Gmail, and they would join the classes based on their level, whether in Form 2, Form 3, whatever the situation is. As I mentioned earlier, the assembly. But even before that, as you rightly said, a student has to ensure that his or her corner, I call it corner, because that is the spots that you're going to be whenever you are having your sessions. So one of the things that I did do with my students is just give them a few guidelines. Make sure that your area is clean. It's very important. You need to know your timetable. I advise my students that they should, if they're allowed to have anything pasted on the wall, that they can attach their timetable to that little corner, so you know that you will not be late for any of our classes. And we also have our timetable, and there's an eye break, there's a brain break. So some of the periods are 40 minutes, some of the periods are 45 minutes. So the students know that on a Monday morning at 8:45 they have Spanish for 4, and we go up to 9:30. So you should have your textbooks very close by. Get your dictionary, get your textbooks, whatever other material that you may need for that particular class. I also advise the students that also the area they should withdraw from distractions. Many times it's beyond us. For example, last week I asked a student if I was the only teacher complaining, but unfortunately, because of where our house is situated in Granby, in Lally, every bus, every bike, every truck,
she hears it.
I hear it. Once she unmutes her mic, I hear it. So even that is, I mean, it's unfortunately for her because of where the house is situated, but that is something that we have to face as well.
Yes, yes.
And then we have where we speak of virtual backgrounds, because sometimes we find the home, you want to ensure, because what happens, the parents also know that the students are going to be online, but we have some parents who are at home, and because of where they are seated, it's almost inevitable for them not to pass by. So we have to ensure that we try to minimize as much contact as possible. You know, so some other things, really, Miss Martin, you want to speak to some other things?
Yes. So, like we said, the environment at home is really, really crucial, because imagine the child is sitting there, his camera is on, because he has to have his camera on. That's the only way teacher is going to see him and be able to, know that he's following. And the background, the environment, the lighting, even ventilation, all of these things, play a role. You'll find that the children, if they're not sitting comfortably as well, that can also hinder, learning, their posture. So we find, when I put it this way, if I come to your home and your child is running around, it's normal, I come to your home. But when this is school online, this is school, and whatever image that is being portrayed online, it sends different messages. So we have to be very careful what we have appearing on the screen. That too, as we said, we have to really drive home the fact to students that this is school. This is really school.
Home or you're at school.
Yes, you see. So, like students last year figure, I'm not going to log in. I'm not even taking that on. They thought it was a free for all. But this is really important. This is their education, and this impacts their life now and in the future. So parents at home really have to create the environment that is conducive. The students have to have their resources within reach. We talk about eye break, because the screen, glaring at the screen with the blue light and all of that really is not healthy for too long for any one of us, let alone little children, or any student, as a matter of fact, whether it's high school or little ones. Then we have the brain break, where we just monitoring to take a break out of that, because children at certain ages, their concentration span, even us as adults, how long can we sit down and listen to So we have the brain breaks, we have snack breaks. We encourage children to stay hydrated, so they drink their water. Of course, in terms of getting ready for online, it's easy to just pour cereal from a box and put some milk, but usually the box cereals are loaded with sugar, and we do not want the children to be so hyped on sugar, and they then have to sit down and endure a lesson online. So if parents are aware of these things, you're going to try to prepare a breakfast that is not so much, loaded with sugar, more a filling breakfast to keep them, so because the children are home, and then you give them a breakfast that is loaded with sugar, it will spike the insulin, they'll get hungry. Of course, I'm home, let me get up and go look for something to munch on. And that, again, a break in getting up. You never know what important things is laying there that will come up in an exam, in a test, whatever have you. So even nutrition is important.
A good night's sleep, miss?
Definitely.
Definitely.
And yes, because you'll find students think, well, they're at their home, they have the device, they have the access, so they can, school is at 8 o'clock, they can wake up at 8 o'clock. Yeah, but then when you look at it, sitting, being in that position alone is not healthy. So the children occasionally must get up for, just movement's sake. They must be mobile. Then you find, I would tell parents, make sure and wake up as if it was a normal school and they would have to travel. So you get up at 6, you get up, you have to brush your teeth, do whatever it is, take your bath, get yourself groomed. And of course, as you know, ministry has said that the students must be in uniforms, so they have to prepare themselves as if they were actually going to their school locality. With that, children do not get excuses, because I'm at home, so my hair can be messy, and then I'm coming online. So if they wake up at their normal time, they can do the normal things, have adequate time to do normal things, and even maybe a little exercise, which is what I would, advise. If it's stretches, if it's a little walk, if it's something to get that blood flowing, to get your, your body prepared to have to sit down, because that at the end of the day, most students, their devices on a desk. If, and which is, I'm not sure if you're aware, it's better that you actually stand. So if it's possible that the child can even stand, it's in terms of health, it's healthier. So, because sitting for too long increases all kinds of things in terms of our health. So.
Recommended bedtime? Do you have
at minimum
9 p.m.?
I guess it depends. It depends on the age.
age.
Yes, it depends on the age and I guess the workload, because the higher up the child is in terms of their education, then their workload is
heavier.
Right. So for sure, a K or K student has to be, of course, there's no need, but it is common that parents do not set routines for children. So you'll find a K, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old up at 10 o'clock. What right has he to be up at,
Maybe
so,
Child will fall asleep during class.
I mean, yes, and it's not healthy for the brain, because the brain, of course, needs the rest. You understand? So you find the child is not concentrating when the child should be able to sit through a 5-minute lesson. The child is fidgeting all over the place and stuff. It's because the child is not getting
adequate
rest. You see?
So ladies, we spoke about the responsibility of the students and what they need to do to ensure that they're ready for class 8 o'clock next morning and so on. What about you, the educators, the teachers, the instructors? What is your responsibility to the student that you are teaching via this virtual classroom?
Okay, so I knew that would come up, and I'm going to tell you what our teachers have been doing and what is required first. So what makes a good online teacher? A good online teacher requires that the teacher to have a high level of knowledge of the curriculum, its requirements, advanced detailed preparations, proactive interventions, tremendous creativity and flexibility, to be able to think on his feet and constantly keep students meaningfully engaged, participative and interactive with each other. All that, I think we need a raise. Of course, the teacher must have technological skills. The teacher has to be internet savvy. The teacher cannot be afraid of the computer or technology. A teacher must be proficient in learning management systems. What we use, what ministry recommends now is Google Classroom, but it's widely used Zoom as well, right? We must have excellent decision-making skills, as at any one time our internet or our device will fail, and we cannot say, oh, Jay, look, internet go, or light go. You understand? We have to be able to think on our feet and make decision of how we can improvise and continue the teaching. Of course, we have to be motivated within ourselves, because this is our job and we are responsible for the students' learning. We have to be able to respond to students, select developmentally age-appropriate material for them, because as like you said, the language that we use to come across to ensure that comprehension takes place. If you're talking to a case, let's say a 5-year-old, is a different language than if you're talking to a 15-year-old, right? So we have to be mindful of all of this. I mean, teachers have a lot of work, It's not just people just like, oh, she's teaching, whatever it is. But if you really have to stand in the classroom, I know some people are scared to death about it because of all those little factors we have to be aware of. Of course, we have to organize our learning, our materials. We have to be effective communicators, be able to use all sorts of strategy. So it's not just pulling a video on YouTube and say, children, watch that. It's not, because at the end of the day, my experience with YouTube videos, they can be culturally inappropriate. Yeah. So true. And so we have to be able to actually sit through the video, watch it, and see if it is appropriate for what you're teaching. We have to be able, as again it's online, we have to find this way of engaging the students and keep them interactive and not bored, for them to be able to, pick up their phone and decide, well, that teacher talking nonsense, or I'm not interested, let me go doing that. And while I'm on that too, one of the things we didn't mention when we spoke about the parents' responsibility is having parental control or locks on their devices. Yes, because the children, I read some statistics that says the children, 1/5 of the time when they're supposed to be doing meaningfully engaged doing their online work, they're actually elsewhere. Yes. And some of the experiences that we had last year is one of anyway, I'll put it out there. Parents with their devices and pornographic material, or yes, so that can happen too.
Parents need to be a bit more responsible too.
Yes, you see, sometimes they probably forget they have this.
And it's their right to watch whatever they want to watch, right? If you know your child is going to be using your device, then
you have to do something about it. Yes, those videos or those sites or those pop-ups, whatever it is. Another thing though, maybe you're not aware that our students sometimes dabble on occultic sites. So that is
something we have to look into.
Yes, because children at that age, they're naturally curious. And then they look at television or they look at certain programs and certain themes are being focused on, and the children obviously will want to know more about it because they are just finding out about their world. And so it's not strange that a child could do that, and here we are. So parents really have, you can check your history, you know that, right? So they have to have logs, check their history, monitor the children, you understand? So it's really, all throughout my career in teaching, we tell parents, we cannot do it without you, we need you, it's you, it's me, the child. Right now, I think all parents know for sure what we have been trying to tell them all along, that this really is not about the teacher. Right now, we are remotely in our own environments and we work for your child. And if your child is an independent, self-motivated, disciplined, whatever, you can be a bit confident that maybe he will do his work. But if you know this child is not disciplined, is a struggling learner, you really have to make the sacrifices and put yourself in there and jolly well.
Inquire exactly what is going on. Yeah. You have to.
If you are interested in your child's learning.
Education, you have to.
So parents have a very
crucial role. And it's not only for the parents who are at home. We have parents who are at work. The question is, what do you do when you come back from work? You get home from work, it's not a matter of just sticking your bag and putting it aside and just indulging into your favorite pastime, but you need to inquire. You need to find out what happened during the course of the day. Were all your classes, on time? Were you in all your classes? What
Did you
homework did you
participate?
participate? Because one of the things that Mitch mentioned earlier, that even in the classroom, you would come in with all your materials. You may come with your charts, you may have a video, you may have an online game, but maybe somewhere during your delivery, you realize a child is not who he is normally. You would have to stop to ask. Some students are not forthcoming, so they may not want to speak to you directly or immediately, but maybe what may have to happen is a teachable moment. So you forget the maths, you forget the science, and you attack whatever it is that is present in the classroom. Because as educators, we know, like I tell my students, it's not coming from a good background that got me to where I am. Yes, I had my challenges, but if you are not determined, who's going to help you? It has to come from within. And it does not mean that because you are in a particular situation at home, it should hinder you from succeeding. It should hinder you from learning. We are aware as educators that many students do not have the parental support. It's no fault of theirs. Some parents are not literate, sorry, but that's the fact of it. And because of that, many of them, because of maybe pride, that they would not want to seek assistance. So here it is, you may have a student in your classroom, you see that child is very intelligent, that child is eloquent, he or she speaks well. You give him or her work to do the classroom and they do well. However, when homework is given, he comes back and nothing, because there's no one at home to assist, to motivate, to give that support, to be that extra driver. So as a result of that, that individual, if you as an educator, you realize that, what do you do? I mean, sometimes you may be limited because of the procedure.
What do you do, Moses?
Well, in a situation like this, honestly, I will assist. I will speak with the parents, let him or her know the student's abilities, because we know for a fact, as Missy indicated, that every student has to succeed, every child must learn. So it does not mean that because you fell along the wayside when you were growing up, that you did not complete secondary education, or because of your present home situation, that your child should be punished or penalized for that situation. If you are not able to, you can ask for assistance. As I say to my students, that our educators are resourceful enough. We have teachers with all level of qualifications, and as a result, if you are in need of assistance, I'm referring to educational as well, that you meet your teacher one-on-one. You speak to him or her, ask him. It's not a matter of saying, Miss, at 9 o'clock I would like to speak with you, and Miss speaks to you at 9:30. Miss may have her own things to deal with, but nonetheless, if you come politely, you know you're courteous enough, and you speak to your teacher, you will not be rejected. The teacher will assist, and to see exactly how can I assist. Because we have students who have graduated, and you see, and we are not prophets, so we may not be seeing into the future. But when you see a child in first form, you see their ability, and you try to push that child as much as possible. We have students who, they say to you, Miss, I'm going home, but when I go home, it's like I wish school was there, because they feel that school is a safe haven for them. When they go home, because of what they have to face, it affects their learning. And we as educators, we have to identify that and bring in the parents. I'm not saying that every time we spot these things that the parents come in. Some of the parents are very reluctant because they may know why, you understand, and may not want everything to be exposed out there. But at the end of the day, we have students who confide in you as an educator. They speak with you, they let you know, Miss, this is what happened at home, and it's affecting me. And once it affects them as an individual, it's like a domino effect. So you see a drop in grades, you see a change in behavior, you see a change in attitude. You may see also, even in relations, social relations, you see also a change in the whole attitude towards others as well. And we try to work along with that.
Julie, in terms of the Ministry of Education, what's the role and responsibility of the Ministry of Education in this virtual classroom process?
Well, of course, we are guided by all policies that the ministry adults. They are responsible for training teachers, even parents, and they at some schools. I think it was earlier on this year.
In September.
Right.
Training. We have staff development.
And the laptops, some devices were distributed. So the ministry has had extensive training with teachers, principals, and parents. Also resources. Basically, the online learning platform is ministry. Well, they are the ones who create the emails for students. Any student who comes into the primary sector, right, from the primary school all the way up into secondary, the emails are created by the Ministry of Education. So also we have, I don't know if you heard of EMIS, even before COVID, all reports, every child's report could be
accessed
on EMIS, which is an online portal with all students' grade from the entry to primary school all the way up into secondary school. So basically, they are the driving force in terms of getting the resources, training the parents, teachers, helping students locate devices. Also, well, it's the internet access in our schools provided by the Ministry of Education under the government of Dominica, and they also help with materials like paper printing, different little things, sanitizing equipment, all these things.
Okay. All right, 9:36 is the time. Yes, in the studios of Q95. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Still to come with Miss Martin and Miss Moses. We speak about, I want to hear from them the difference between the physical classroom and the virtual classroom, and the new challenges that you experience with having to transition to the virtual classroom. We will as well get some tips from the ladies on how the e-learner can succeed, the mistakes to avoid, and some online learning sites that you're going to provide as well. So we're going to give you an opportunity to sip on your water. We'll take a quick break and we're coming back. Don't forget, folks, just a reminder for you as well that I need you to do some stuff for me. Sorry. In terms of supporting non-financially by going to the various platforms and subscribing. So you can go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's on the Ferdina F. Frampton. So you can do that. Don't forget to follow or like our In the Spotlight radio show. We're asking you as well to become a fan of our group by the In the Spotlight radio show. If you would like to make a contribution to the show, you can do so via Cash App, $Spotlighters, so SPOTLIGHTERS, Spotlighters, or you can send something via mobile banking. Our username is 2357565 and our account number is 1000695992. We're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. If you're just joining us and you're wondering who are these ladies in the studios, we have Julienne Martin. We call her Julie on the program. She's one of the deputies at the Goodwill Primary School. And we have Frances Beverly Moses. She's a teacher of HFLE, Spanish, and history at the Pierre Charles Secondary School. I should tell you, Miss Moses, that somebody sent me a message and they sent it in Spanish. So the only thing I understood is Buenos noches.
Buenas noches.
Yes, so I'll give it to you, and you will tell me what exactly it is that person is saying.
Okay.
But we're going to take a break and we'll come right back with our lovely, beautiful ladies, our educators, our hard workers representing teachers all across Dominica here tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show. We thank you for tuning in.
the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining. A must listen to. In the Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q95.
(9:41) is the time in the studios, and we're back with our educators. And before the break, we did mention a few areas that we wanted to touch before we end our program tonight. And for me, I really would like to know what it was like transitioning from the classroom to the virtual classroom. Is that something you would like to continue? Are you eager to return to your physical classroom?
There are days I wish I was back in the classroom, because of COVID. It's not possible. It's not merely just because you miss the classroom per se, but just the connection. You have that good relationship, that bond with your students. So to interact with them, I miss that as well. There were days I'm like, oh, it's so overwhelming, so much to do. Not going to be naive about it. There are days you wonder if it's really the week, fifth week, you wonder if school just opened and exactly what is going on. But we have to go with the times. The transition for me initially was difficult because yes, I had a device, yes, I had access to internet, but I did not know about Google Classroom until a few days before the Prime Minister said that he would shut down the country after our first case. So I remember speaking to a colleague of mine, and she asked me if I had already set my Google Classroom, and I was clueless. I'm being honest, I was indeed clueless. So I said, okay, YouTube is there, let me log into YouTube. I did. However, I still was not clear as to exactly what was happening. So we have, as Ms. mentioned, EMIS, we have some technical support at the Ministry of Education. So I called one of the officers, and who was very much willing to assist me. And from there, it became easier. Just within a matter of minutes, I got a crash course, and I was able to create my classes, extend invitation to the students who refused to join the classes. Right now, virtual, as I said, we're in week 5. So for me, I'm getting there. I understand a little bit more. Well, with the early days of in September, we had quite a few professional workshops. So we had workshops on blended learning, the different sites, how to go about with your virtual classes. So this was great assistance from the different facilitators who did that. Also, you have colleagues. You speak with them. They share their strategies. They share information with you. They may be browsing some web, and they may come up on maybe an educational site, and they would say, oh, but Miss, you can do that, Miss, you can do that, and whatever. So the transition this time around is easier compared to last year.
Julie.
Before I mention about my experience, we were looking at the comments and parents was saying that we were blaming parents, but this is not anything to do with blame. We are trying to impress on you parents out there your absolute need to be involved in your child's education, and this time around. Before, when we were in physical classroom, you could probably get by. You understand?
Yes.
The teacher would go above and beyond to ensure your child learns. We cannot come to your home. We cannot give your child a device. We cannot be there over your child and ensure that he or she does his work. So it really, right now, your child's education is in your hands. Of course, you have access to the teachers, because what we haven't mentioned is that we use our personal phones to set up classroom chats on WhatsApp. So teachers, yes, teachers have to have data, of course, or access, and to send out, WhatsApp messages and tell a parent, well, we haven't seen your child logged in, what's going on, or to send message to the students to say we have class at such and such a time. So we are putting ourselves out to ensure that your child's education continues. As Miss said, she had to learn Google Classroom overnight, basically, to ensure that learning continues. And so it's not a blame game. Really, if anything, we are here to encourage parents, to motivate them, to impress on them the need to be totally involved in the child's education this time around, because we are not in the classroom where we can control and help your child.
But blaming parents for what? There's nothing to blame parents
No,
for.
I think that's what they were saying. As per devices, if we had, we would, because many times I think almost every teacher in Dominica at one point, even if it's one child, has already given one child a snack. So if we had devices, I am sure a teacher would give a child a device just to ensure that child learns, right? Because on a daily basis in normal school, we have to be nurse, we have to be counselor, we have to be teacher, we have to be mother, we have to be conflict resolute, all kinds of things, right? So yes, so I would encourage parents to get to the device. But if your school, the child attends to the schools by, find a way to ensure that the child education continues. Be a friend of your child's teacher. Do not try to call the teacher at any time, because at the end of the day, the teacher has a personal life. So we have times that we are engaged online, and when normal working times, ask the teacher a question. You probably notice something on the Google Classroom, you don't understand something, you have any queries, write it down. If you're going through the portal at 10 o'clock, don't call the teacher at 10 o'clock, right? And if you see something that you find is less than satisfactory, don't send teacher voice notes insulting the teacher. It's not going to be beneficial for the child or the teacher. Be polite, be considerate, whatever you are right to have your queries. I mean, this is learning, this is education. So whatever it is, whatever your queries are, do it in a polite, considerate manner. And while I'm on that as well, parents have to really be careful, because if, for example, Ferdina, you're sitting here, and let's say you're a child, right? And I'm your parent, and I see you doing your work, and I come and I say, what did you do? And give a negative comment, right? Your whole attitude, that energy, it really transfers to the child. And the child, because he's a child, absorbs that energy. And you find the behavior, if not immediate, but you'll find throughout the child's education career, the child is going to have this sort of I don't care attitude about their work, and it definitely is not productive. So a parent has the issue with whatever they see, they're in their right to have that issue. What is not the best thing to do is to voice that and let the children hear you. Those negative comments obviously are not productive, not for the child, not to the teacher. Have a normal civil conversation, and no teacher is going to just flare up. But if you come, everybody have different personalities. If you come at me one way, and I decide I'm coming at you just the same way, who is right?
Exactly.
You understand? So people naturally will defend themselves. So you come at me one way, I'm going to defend myself. It really takes a person to exercise self-control to say, okay, mom, whatever it is. And sometimes you try to even contain the situation, parents too emotional to even to do that. So transition, of course, if anything, has been very taxing on teachers, and teachers have to deal with it. Even if we do not like it, even if we wish it was different, we have to deal with it, and we have to be professionals. And this is what is happening all over Dominica, because teachers are learning, all sorts of ways they can improve on their online learning classrooms, and how to really educate themselves on the platform. So all teachers have really taken up the challenge and trying their best to do it. Of course, it will have people who will do better than others, and that's why we said we collaborate and we teach each other. So in terms of, even if we get back into the classroom, the possibility will still be there that some lessons will be, it will be blended or hybrid learning, like the chief said. So we will be in class, but because we want this to continue, so that if in the event anything again happens and we have to shut down, then the children are used to the Google Classroom or the Zoom, whatever it is, using the online platform for their education.
We've shared quite a bit of information this evening that can contribute to a successful e-learner or e-learning experience. In a nutshell, what do you think are some of the things that would lead to that? A child being successful at e-learning. Yes.
We have identified the parental support. We have identified that. We have also indicated the resources made available. We also speak of the access to the connection. I'm not sure if I should mention, but maybe even while we are here for lines, maybe when you go back to work tomorrow, that you speak to your manager, that maybe some package can be made available for the parents, and maybe within it different
in terms of affordability.
So because what we know for a fact that there are different plans available, and one of the things that unfortunately I know that students were complaining about the last school year is where areas where Wi-Fi was not available and they had to use data, that Zoom consumes a lot of data. So if it's possible that maybe you can speak to your manager and maybe some plan, or maybe some device along, maybe some reduction price. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes.
Yes. But
and I'm catching.
Okay, so we have the parental support. We have our devices, the availability of the devices. We also have access to the internet as well. We also speak of the resources that the students need, their textbooks, along with other classroom materials. You want to list any others, Miss?
For the
success of the e-learner, for the e-learner.
Okay, so we are on time management. We didn't hit that. The children must be able to manage your time wisely. Of course, primary school, it has to be done with parents, So the parents have to be able to find a way where they set a structure in place for the child. So school starts at 9, by 8:30 you should be more than ready. You understand? So that, yes, all your things are within reach, your snack is there, so I don't have to, boy, it's snack time, let me go and see what I get to eat. Everything is within reach, your resources, your materials, stationery, whatever it is. They are permitted,
10 minutes.
yes, bathroom breaks and all of that. So in terms of the high schoolers, it's more on their own in terms of managing their time with their timetable. They have to know how to prioritize because you're going to be set assignments. So which one is due today? Obviously, you have to go by in terms of due dates. You have to be able also to set yourself to do your work by yourself after you finish online classes, right? So you're online for maybe 3 hours, whatever it is, 5 hours, and you take a break, you have your lunch, whatever, but you have to get back to it because there are plenty things to be done. You understand? You have a backlog because every teacher will be setting assignments, setting due work, whatever it is, and they have to do reading. They have to do their own quiet reading, research if necessary. So the student really, if it's primary, it's with the parent. If it's secondary, they have to be able to take the learning, to be able to be responsible, motivate themselves and say that they can do this. It can be intimidating. It can be intimidating. But I mean, you have to almost adopt the mindset that I can do this and I'm going to try. I'm determined, I am self-motivated, I am going to put my best foot forward. Of course, we want them to be patient, not get anxious, to be disciplined enough, and if they need help, ask for help. Something also we didn't mention during their classes while Miss is online or so is online with them, take notes. Because it's so you have to, if you were in a class, you would be taking notes, you'd be getting exercise and stuff, but you have to have your book, and the teacher wouldn't tell you write this down, but you have to be able to take your notes. You understand? Because at the end of the day, we really want every child to learn and every child to succeed. It's not a matter of your child doing better than my child, that kind of thing. We want every child to learn. So this child in front of the computer has to take the learning in their own hand. You take notes, you ask questions, you participate, you ensure that you do what you need to do to succeed. And a good student really realizes that this is important, and whatever it is, whatever sacrifice that I have to do, I must do it. With primary school students, which are younger, the parents have to almost instill that sort of value in the children. So by the time they reach high school, they're already setting their routine, and that behavior is almost part of their nature now. They know their schoolwork is important. They know what is required of them. Of course, there must be playtime. There must be playtime, time for a little, downtime, a little socialization and something. Because you will know that when children come to school, they have their friends, they have lasting friends. I have friends that I met at primary school and we are still good today. So, the school serves as a socialization agent. So the children will miss that interaction. And it's important because we are social beings. So we cannot just say all work and no play. So the parents and the teachers we do recognize that as teachers. Parents, because the children are working at home, should also devise a way of rewarding the children for good work, for good behavior, for doing what is required of them. So it's not. It can be tricky. It can be tricky. You have to know, your child. Yes, you have to know your child and know what would motivate the child, and not something. It has to be intrinsic. It has to be within the child. So, some children, they know their mom will say, okay, well, you get 100%, I'll give you $5. So they will come and say, I get $5. I get 100. Where's my $5? Me personally, I have the experience with my own children when they would do well and say, hey, whatever. So I say, you know what? At this stage, you're doing well for yourself, it's something that has to get extinct, but little children, they like that.
They like rewards, they like tokens, they like rewards, they like tokens. Yeah. But even as you indicated, Miss, in addition to the students copying the books in their notebooks, the platform gives us the opportunity for us to record the meetings. So even at the end of the session, the teacher can upload the choices hers. In addition to that, it depends on the strategy that is used. For example, with my students, at times I do PowerPoint presentations. So I say to them, you do not have to write anything now, because at the end of the session, I'm going to send it to you.
Yes.
So what you don't pick up during delivery, at the end of the class or at the end of the day, that you should make it your business, as you mentioned, prioritizing and time management, that you go back to the classrooms, you go back to the material that is uploaded. One of the things I really wanted to bring out that we spoke about, the time management. Now, parents by now should know what the timetable is. What we do not want as educators is for us to be in session, the students are at home, you are at work, but you are calling to find out, but you are calling during class time. So it would be wise, parents of the listening, if you don't have a copy, you ask your daughter, your son, or your ward for a copy of the timetable, so you know exactly the days in question when he has a little break. So during that time, you are allowed to, or you can, or if you want, maybe ask your son, daughter, or ward to send just a message. Okay, mommy, this is what is going on, this is what is happening. So the communication, the collaboration, all makes e-learning successful.
Okay, we have to wrap up in just a while. What are some of the, do we still have some tips to share?
Yes.
Or we dealt with the tips?
Both way.
So do we still have some more? I think the tips are important. So do we still have some more to share?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I was saying in terms of the online again, it's important that you get feedback. So if we're in school and like me said earlier, you might notice something with a student and you might call your parents in whatever it is. It's a little bit difficult online, but as a teacher, we have to give timely feedback, right? So if for example, parents out there, a week passed, 2 weeks passed, and you notice the child isn't whatever, as I said, you can call the teacher to try to get a little, idea what's going on. Miss, this is what I've noticed, what is going on, whatever it is, within, proper time or working hours. So to get the feedback is important because we are going on virtually and you don't know what's going on as the parent. So you might need some clarification. You're part of a WhatsApp group, or you can use the child's same email and email the teacher. Yes? I was looking for some information for you as per DOMLEC scheduled power outages, because that will, of course, affect the child if they're online. And if you give me a minute, I will find it.
While you're looking for it, probably you can share as well, Miss Moses, some of the mistakes to avoid.
Okay. Many students, one of the things I have identified is the posture, the sitting. Some of the students, when they sit too far from the device. So they have it at an angle, sorry. So it's wise. I know we have some persons who have short-sighted and long-sighted. If such is the situation, your device should be in a way close enough that you can see exactly what is happening. It's also wise that the students, when they are seated, that their legs should be extended. We do not want anybody with poor blood circulation. So as much as possible, you have your legs extended. You can also turn your feet. Right? No one will see, but we know that's happening. Now, many persons express their opinion when the Minister of Education indicated that the students should be wearing a uniform. We encourage that as much as possible. However, some persons, children in particular, especially younger ones, are just wearing the upper part of the uniform. So you are going to be on video. You know what you are wearing.
Don't get up.
Don't get up. Also, yes, you are home. I also say to my students, you do not just get up, and because you're at your home, you can just get up and go to the washroom. You do not have to echo it loud, but because of the different platforms, Zoom has a chat room, Google Meet has a chat room, so you can send a message.
Can we excuse me? I'm going to the washroom.
Right, and you turn off your video. Yeah. Also, parents, we know that some parents are at home. Between the hours of 8 to 1 or 8 to 2, your students would be on Google Classroom. They will be having their sessions. It would be wise if you try as much to make the environment as quiet as possible. Yes, we have to follow health protocols. So the visits from the neighbors, the conversations, all these have to be taken into consideration. We do not want for students to be seated at a desk in their classroom, and then the parents are just pacing the floor. That brings a lot of distraction.
Don't send them to the chores. at that time. Don't call them.
No,
Don't get
not
that
if
from me.
the parents. Oh,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, Florence, you know. And not only just that, some, unfortunately, I saw this happening on my platform, where we have the 15 and the 16-year-olds are the babysitters.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
They cannot focus.
They cannot.
They cannot.
Because we have the 16-year-olds and they have the 8-year-old brother or the 5-year-old sister to care for. Some of the siblings, I guess, maybe because of the bond that they have, that you might be sitting in your class virtually, and here comes the little toddler, and he feels because he's at home, he can easily take him or her and put on their lap.
Yes.
I discourage that. No,
Wow.
you are in the classroom. You are in the classroom, so whoever is at home with you needs to remember that you are in the classroom. Whatever it is that you are doing during that time, you try to reduce as much noise because it sets you off. And for you to keep you as an educator constantly saying, Jack, don't do this, Jack, you know, and also ensuring that their video is kept on. I remember before the classes begun that 2 educators were discussing this virtual learning as well and the importance of turning on the videos. I'm not saying that we want this to happen, but we know that students, even before virtual learning, that the home situation, we had a lot of abuse taking place. And we want to make sure that the students are safe, the students are protected. So, and even with that, so you have to ensure that your video is on, your cameras are turned on. It's very important.
Okay.
Because it gives the educator an indication of exactly what is happening. We can see.
It seems a fellow teacher is writing, parents should allow the students to attend their classes on their own. Allow the students to respond to questions on their own. And the person is saying challenges faced by teachers as well. The parents tell the students what to say. Yes, all of what she's saying. Also, mute your mics, turn on your cameras. Yes, I think another message just came quickly. Please tell Miss Moses that Miss Ambrose is listening. Proud of you, my girl.
I also had a message from one of my students in Bellevue, Elisha John Baptist. Thank you for tuning in.
Right. Okay, ladies, we have to start wrapping things up. So, Julie, you wanted to share something as well before we get to the learning sides.
Okay, so from Domlec, the schedule outages. So every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to, they will start from 8 to 12 as of tomorrow. That's
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes. So yes, so our schedule outages, wherever you live, it's on you to look. So as of October 11, on Tuesdays and Thursdays each week, all schools will engage children from 8 to 12. Yes, because of load shedding from Domlec.
So I think Domlec may even be working with your
definitely,
time and then allowing the students to be able to at least be in class until midday, which is
give and take.
Give and take, yes.
So again, we want to encourage the children to be committed, to pace themselves, not to panic, be patient, recognize that your learning is on the screen right now and that you are going to have to, pace yourself so that you pick up whatever is going on your screen. Sometimes we get, we lose our focus, we get distracted, we lose focus. So the children, we really want the children to be mindful that when you find yourself strained, so be mindful of what you're thinking. If you find that you're strained, you're not focused on whatever is happening on the screen, try to wheel yourself back to pay attention to what's going on. And a good way of doing that is if you ask questions or you take notes, you write down any information, write down your queries, that kind of thing. Miss didn't speak about plagiarism. This is showing up. So
it's showing up.
Of course, the online netiquette is called. Yes, because the children, because children, they do engage in cyberbullying. Because if they were in school, they would be doing bullying. So cyberbullying is just another an extension of that. They must be mannered, well-mannered, polite, considerate, be respectful of their classmates' opinion and interpretations of whatever it is going on. And they have to realize that this is learning, and they will be required to produce their own work. You see, they
That's
can
where the plagiarism
also, yes.
comes in.
So they have to keep their work organized. They must, if you have flash drives, store your information on flash drive, download what needs to be downloaded, refer to your notes, get familiarized with the icons and buttons on Google Classroom, right? So that if you're in the class and you want to say something, you know what you must do, and the mics must always remain off except when the teacher says, put on your mic.
Turn on your mic to respond to a question or to contribute.
All right. Ladies, anything else in particular you need to share as we're getting ready to wrap up? You wanted to share some sites?
Yes. You have some?
I have some.
Okay.
Liveworksheets.com.
Live worksheets. I might need those myself.
We can forward them to you and you can upload on your
Awesome.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
So we also have, YouTube is always available for my Spanish, studyspanish.com.
Okay.
Can I get out of this? Formative.com as well.
Oh, I'm learning.
Yes. Go ahead, Miss.
Okay, so for language arts, you have Creek Web, and as I said, I'll forward you.
Yes, please.
So that, but a parent who's listening, I'll just say them. Creek Web, GCFLearnFree.org, Storyboard, Starfall, Story Jumper, BBC. All of these for language arts or English. For maths, you have Math Game Time, Khan Academy, Turtle Diary, Flock Cubal, Blueary, Homeschool Math, coolmath.com, watchknowlearn.org, math.com. Social studies, you have interactive learning sites for education, science, science kids, CSI web adventures, FET interactive simulations, myschoolhouse.com, Bite Size, and Utah Education Network and Shepherd Software. So like I said,
Quite a bit.
yes.
Quite a bit.
So parents, your child teacher sends something you don't quite understand, you can go online and get a bit more clarification. Miss already mentioned YouTube is the most common.
Yes. Good stuff, ladies. Wow.
Thank you.
Quite a bit of information shared. I think something like this was quite important, especially as to the status we are now with online learning. But you all seem to be prepared and ready to face the challenge. But you've been facing it already. We're into week number 5. The same for me. I'm with you, so I know what it is like for online learning because that's what we do. And I know how it can become. Just during the course of the week, I was saying that this week was so tough because I had one assignment due on Friday. I missed it actually. I could not submit because my work week was a bit, tasking, and so I missed it on Friday. But I was able to submit on Saturday. Hopefully, there's no penalty for late submission. But I also had another assignment to submit that very same Saturday, and then a quiz to do on Sunday.
Wow.
So anyway, yes, it can. I know online learning can be. I mean, based on my experience with you, Lord Jesus. It can be quite crazy, and so we understand what the students are having to deal with, but based on everything you shared here this evening, I'm sure it's going to make the work a little bit lighter and to help them to succeed. And I really do hope that those who would have gone to bed by 9 o'clock, that or maybe 8 o'clock, that the parents have the opportunity to go on my Facebook pages and look and allow the students to listen as well, because the information you shared here this evening, I think it was brilliant information. I'm going to give you all an opportunity for some final comments and to wrap up.
Okay. So finally, what I would really like to say is, we have the saying, practice makes perfect. But what parents need to recognize, and students as well, the more they interact with the online learning, the better they become at it. Like you said, Ferdina, when you have work online to do, it becomes tough, and I think the main reason it's tough is because the time is quickly passing by. So you sit down in 5 hours for your Google Classroom, and then after that, all you want to do is just let loose and not.
Can I tell you what I did after I submitted everything? I went to play Ludo and Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. To free up my mind.
Yes.
Self-care is important.
Yes.
Self-care is
Yes.
important.
So it's important that we recognize this is what learning is right now, and we cannot shy away from it. We must embrace it. And even if the ministry, under the advice of Ministry of Health, decides school must reopen tomorrow, we will still be using the online
learning
platform, right? So parents have to get the devices, children have to get used to the online learning, and let's embrace it. And if we are have hopes and dreams of even living Dominica, then we cannot just fold our arms and say we're not doing this. We must embrace it. We must rise to the challenge. And we must succeed at it. We must succeed at it. It's not something that we are saying that, oh, that's just for a time. It will be there, and we have to get used to it and used enough so that we can absolutely master it. And we're looking forward to maybe a few years down the line where we have brilliant minds who would be able to design some really good online program for us. And I really just want to thank every teacher out there. You're trying, you're doing your best, you're rising to the occasion, and you do what you need to ensure that our students, our children, Dominican children, continue their learning. So let's do this.
Let's do this. Yes, Miss Moses.
Yes, Ferdina, I really want to just, I will not reiterate what Miss Martin said, but in a nutshell, I really want to applaud the educators out there, and not just educators. I'm qualifying this by saying resourceful educators, because many times our teachers go unappreciated. But in these trying times, we have our teachers who are at the forefront, and they're really going the extra mile to ensure that learning takes place, that concepts are taught, that the students are going to be successful in their future endeavors. So I really want to applaud them for that. Also the Ministry of Education, the policy makers, for attending to our cries, assisting us. I know it's a challenge, but whatever it is that they have assisted us with thus far to help the situation as it is, to resolve some of our issues that we have, I say thank you. To the parents, I say thank you to those who have been very supportive, not because of COVID, not because of virtual learning, but they have always been supporting the different institutions, whether it's at the primary school, at the secondary school. We have some parents, even after the students have graduated, they still vow to give or to lend a helping hand. We say thank you to the students who have logged in, to the students who are submitting their assignments, to the students who have made up their minds that they are going to push beyond. We say thank you. To the others who are struggling behind, I say get on board, identify someone who you can speak with, where the help is, and we are all in this together. Don't give up. We will make it.
And thank you, Ferdina, for doing this.
Well, Julie, thank you. All right, on that note, we are wrapping things up on the program for tonight. I really do wish to thank both ladies again for being here with us for the program tonight. Julie Martin, but Julienne Martin is her actual name. She's one of the deputies at the Goodwill Primary School. And Frances Moses, she's a teacher at the Pierre Charles Secondary School, and she teaches HFLE, Spanish and History. So thank you so much, ladies, and thank you to all those who are in the background supporting you, and to all the teachers, the administrators, everyone who is involved in ensuring that when it's 8 o'clock, that the students can log on and get ready for class. Yes, the parents too.
Technical support team.
But
Yes.
I am smiling because I have a young lady here making sure that I big her up. Hi Gary, I love you.
Is that one of your children?
My only daughter.
Your only daughter.
So you're not bigging up your daughter, so
All
I'm
right.
bigging you up, okay guys?
Okay, so that is it for us tonight on the program, and I think it was very timely, very relevant. I mean, the program only started to resume last week. I would have liked to do something like that even before school started. I am sure that many parents and many students would have been even more prepared for virtual learning when it began. But we are where we are, and we are happy that we are able to help them along the way. So thank you again, ladies, and we'll be back here next week for the In the Spotlight radio show next week, Monday. Don't forget, once you're done watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe. And pretty soon, at some point in time, I'll be utilizing YouTube as well, to go live with the program. So we'll see how that goes. So go to YouTube, subscribe, follow and like our pages, In the Spotlight Radio Show, or group by In the Spotlight Radio Show, and all the other good stuff. If you would like to make a contribution, you can do so via Cash App, $Spotlighters, and make a contribution to us. I also shared the information of mobile banking earlier as well. So that is it for us. Let's see how we can get Miss Moses home.
I will hope.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you again
Good
for
night,
choosing
everyone. Good night.
this program tonight. Until next week, Monday, God willing.
Okay.